People hate the CRJ-200, and that's a fact proven by science. Okay, maybe not, but in all seriousness, most people don't have a positive opinion of the CRJ-200. Common complaints include that it's tiny, cramped, and uncomfortable. Well, in this video, we'll be discussing United's response to those very complaints, the CRJ-450, as I'm supposed to be flying from Peoria to Chicago on the CRJ-200, but as you'll see in this video, that's actually not what ended up happening. Either way, it'll be an interesting and fun video, so I invite you to please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Good afternoon from Peoria, where I'm already airside after a mostly seamless landside process. Like I've mentioned in previous videos here, the free parking is one of the biggest perks of choosing airports like Peoria and Bloomington. The only issue with Peoria is that because it's a decently busy airport, finding parking, especially in peak travel seasons, can be a hassle. But I do think the airport is working to add additional spaces in addition to the existing overflow parking lots. Peoria is by far the busiest and best connected airport in central Illinois, the only obvious missing link being a Delta connection service to Atlanta, which is a route that ended back in 2020. Currently, Delta only serves Bloomington and Moline in downstate Illinois, but I hope they consider returning to Peoria in the future. As expected, Peoria's busiest individual routes are those to the major airline hubs for connections, so of course that means Chicago is number one, followed by Dallas-Fort Worth, Charlotte, and Denver. But interestingly, Peoria's largest airline is not American or United, but actually Allegiant, who account for just under half of the airport's total market share with an impressive nonstop route network from Peoria. Our CRJ this evening is painted in the SkyWest house livery. All of the legacy airlines contract their regional jet flying to smaller regional carriers for reasons beyond the scope of this video. SkyWest, in fact, will be the airline operating the new CRJ-450s once they enter service later in 2026. Now, similar to the CRJ-550, which is basically a CRJ-700 with fewer seats and the topic of an earlier video, the 450 is just a CRJ-200 with fewer seats. Instead of the usual 50 seats, the CRJ-450 will have 41. The difference here is that, unlike current CRJ-200s, which have all economy layouts, the 450 will feature 7 first-class seats and 34 economy seats. Why United chose the name CRJ-450 even though the plane doesn't have 50 seats, I don't know, but I guess it's more of a marketing choice, and also because 450 sounds a lot cooler than 441. With the CRJ-450, United is attempting to address most of the current concerns that passengers have with the CRJ-200. This new configuration will pretty much bring all of the amenities of larger regional jets like the CRJ-900s and E-jets into the smaller CRJ-200 fuselage, including first class as mentioned before, but also economy plus seating, Starlink Wi-Fi, and larger overhead bins. After catching my aircraft arrive, it was time to head over to the gate, with boarding starting in a few minutes. Currently, one of the largest headaches with not just the CRJ-200 but also planes like the Embraer 145 is that because the overhead bins are so small, they can't fit most carry-on suitcases. Therefore, all passengers have to gate check them so these bags can be loaded into the belly cargo hold. Then upon arrival, they pick up these bags at the gate. The CRJ-450 will not only feature larger overhead bins, but also luggage lockers just like the 550, so hopefully the hassle of gate checking bags will be largely avoided. Soon enough, it was time to board, and even though we've been talking about all of the improvements that the CRJ-450 will bring, some annoyances will still be there. The biggest one that I can think of is the window level and alignment with the seats. Currently, if you're decently tall, you have to sort of bend a little bit to see out the windows on the CRJ-200s, and that's an issue that stems back to when the aircraft was first produced. Otherwise, like I've said before, I have no issues with the current CRJ-200 seats, and they're more than sufficient for these short 35 or so minute flights. Unfortunately, instead of taxiing directly to the runway, we pulled over and sat alongside the taxiway. Eventually, the captain explained that Chicago was being hit with severe weather, putting O'Hare into a ground stop. Therefore, all inbound flights were delayed and all departures were put on hold. At this point, all we could do was wait until ATC gave us further instructions. About an hour and 15 minutes after we first pushed back, the flight attendant came around with snacks and refreshments, which was such an amazing gesture. To make matters better, we all got 2 choices, which doesn't usually happen. Not much long after, at 7:20 p.m., around 90 minutes after we first pushed back, the captain announced that we wouldn't be going anywhere for a while and decided to return to the gate. Me personally, I was really glad to hear this because in uncertain moments like this, I'd much rather be off the plane to stretch my legs. As we taxi back to the gate, you can see those dark clouds just north of the airport, but that wasn't the same system hitting Chicago. This American Eagle flight from Chicago landed just after we pushed back and was now also waiting for further updates. In just under 2 hours after we first left the gate, we were back at square one. All of the gate check bags were offloaded and we all collected them as we went back into the terminal. Given that mostly everyone flying to Chicago from these smaller downstate airports is connecting, the gate agent gave us 3 options. We could drive ourselves to O'Hare to catch our connecting flight, which is about 2 hours and 40 minutes away. We could choose to be rebooked to the following day, or we could just stick to our original flights and wait until O'Hare reopened. Now, I was originally booked for a 1-hour connection in Chicago with my onward flight to Denver. And in all honesty, at this point, I really just didn't feel like continuing with this journey, and after some serious thinking, I decided to cancel my ticket on the spot. As for this American Eagle flight to Chicago, it was fully boarded, but I guess not long after I recorded this, the crew must have timed out for the day because this flight was straight up canceled. So right as boarding was called for my United Express flight, I had already made the decision to abandon this trip and headed back to my car. Let's see what I have to say now. Well, everybody, I am back at my car. As you can tell, I have decided to abandon the flight. I've canceled my ticket. I actually canceled it right there at the gate. Thankfully, I was able to get some flight credit. Got flight credit for the value of this trip to Denver, which is valid for about a year or so. So hopefully I'll be able to use it during that time. The plane I was supposed to be on actually literally just pushed out of the gate and departed. It's off to the runway now. Literally as I was leaving the gate is when they were calling the flight for boarding. It is now 9:26, so the flight is going to be taking off almost 4 hours late, getting into Chicago by, I would guess, 10:05, and I guess, you know, with the mess that O'Hare is right now, I don't even know when it's going to get into the gate. Maybe 10:30, 10:45, I don't know. You can hear a plane taking off in the background. That should be the plane I'm supposed to be on. Let's see. It's going to pop up right around here or back here. Where'd it go? There it is. There it is. That's so funny. That is the plane I'm supposed to be on. Let's see it get over here. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, as I was saying, that flight just took off. The plane I was supposed to be on to Chicago, it's 9:27 or so. No idea how the gates are going to be. I'm expecting that flight is going to be waiting on the apron on the ground in O'Hare for a while for a gate to open up. I'm not sure. My connection to Denver, however, that aircraft actually came in basically pretty much on time, a little bit delayed, of course, because of holding, but you know, it landed and got to the gate from Salt Lake City, and I expect that they'd be boarding that flight soon. So either way, it'd be kind of tight. Even if I did stick to this plan, and even if I was on that plane, it would have been tight. And I do expect that flight to Denver is going to depart with a slight delay, maybe an hour delay, I don't know. Either way, it's going to get into Denver super late. It's going to be 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and I just wasn't feeling it, I'll be so honest. It would just be a huge mess, and even if I did rebook the flight, all the flights to Denver tomorrow morning are full, and United wouldn't even put me up in a hotel in Chicago for the night. So I just wasn't feeling it, and I decided I'm just gonna go home, go back to Champaign now. And you know, at least the most important thing is that we got flight credit for it, which I was really worried I wouldn't get any credit for the trip because I was canceling it literally at the gate. But we did get that. I hope it fully processes and goes through. I didn't need a refund. As long as I got the credit, I'd be happy because I can use it for another trip in the future. But what a fun video this has been. It was supposed to be about the CRJ-450, which I'm sure we've talked about, but I mean, ideally we would have been ending this video in Chicago, but here we are back at square one. I've been at Peoria Airport for about 6 almost hours now. Time to go home. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this crazy video, and take care. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.